is up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be discussing the Call of Duty League DraftKings Saturday slate. Today we're going to be having a 4-gamer. It's going to be pretty interesting games to watch today. It's going to be stacked. I was looking at the contest today and there's a lot of heavy hitters in the lineups, in the player pool to choose from. It's going to be an interesting slate nonetheless. If you're new to this channel and you like esports betting, if you like Call of Duty betting, or just playing it, or just watching the pros play, feel free to subscribe to the channel, leave your comment, put your input out, just so I can know how to make the channel better. I'm going to be planning on doing a lot of Call of Duty content here this year and the upcoming years, obviously around the betting space, like on platforms like DraftKings and Price Picks. I'm also trying to expand to Halo and other esports like that, like Valorant as much, CSGO. So if you like the platform, stay tuned. We're going to be talking about Call of Duty today and these 4 matches. We're going to be having the London Royal Ravens and the Mutineers in the first slot. Then we're going to have Optic Texas against the Paris Legion. After that, we're going to have the Seattle Surge against the New York Subliners. And then for the last matchup of the day, we're going to have Atlanta FaZe against the LA Guerrillas. So it's going to be a pretty sick day of matches, and I can't wait to talk to you guys about it. And with that being said, let's look at the first matchup of the day, the London Royal Ravens against the Florida Mutineers. So starting off with the Florida Mutineers, as you guys can see here, or if you watched the last series they played, they beat Minnesota 3-0, and that's not something everybody was expecting, right? Florida is looking a little bit better with Major Maniac. Well, they won first game with Major Maniac, should I say, but they looked really good in this series here. Sky's Awakening and Major Maniac are coincidentally the most overpriced players on the slate, and I think that is not a good thing, because they've only won 1 game. It's not like they're like on a winning spree and they're the best team in the game. And for some reason, we have FaZe, we have Optic, we have New York, we have Seattle, and Florida are the most expensive team on the slate. That doesn't add up to me. So, if you guys could see here from all the games put together, Sky's Awakening, Major Maniac are the most expensive. I think Florida's a good team, and they 100% have a chance of beating London, but I do feel like this is the first thing that you should look at as a contrarian player and say, hey, London's a good team that just got off of a win yesterday against Minnesota as well. Both teams just beat Minnesota. They're really good teams, and London Royal Ravens beat Toronto. So London Royal Ravens are on their game right now. They're not in a slump or anything. So I feel like Florida's prices being that high is a little bit of a discrepancy that you could take advantage of if you really wanted to. Nevertheless, let's look at Skies. I mean, most expensive player in the slate at the flex position. 8,000 or 10,800 to 2,000 jump up against a team that isn't on a slump. They're actually on a 2-game winning spree, so that seems weird to me. Even when it comes to matchups, I mean, it shouldn't be that much of a jump. Maybe if it was Paris, but it's not Paris, right? So we can see here Skies is rather inconsistent, kind of, just like the entirety of the Florida Mutineers team, but he does have the upside. So if in any case Florida 3-0's London, obviously these guys are going to pay off. I mean, if you look at Awakening is the most consistent player in Florida, I believe. As you can see, last 5 games, 100 fantasy points or plus. That's really good. Major Maniac, 9,600. Rather inconsistent. Obviously, all of these were with Minnesota. But now, now that he's with his new team, it's yet to be seen how he's going to start performing now in the future. I don't feel confident rostering any of these guys at these prices, but just based on what they performed like, You know, if they get a 3-0, then they might provide value. Looking for, you could see here, Yeez is out. The other player for Florida is Too Real, which I don't know why he's not here, but that's their fourth player, the rookie. Obviously you can't even roster him because he's not here, but or I don't know if they're planning on putting Yeez in, but nevertheless, you know, if the London side looks a lot more appealing to me. You know, if you look at the lines, minus 105 for Florida Muniers and a minus 125 for London Royal Ravens. So why in the world is Florida the most expensive team in the slate? It makes no sense. So I would say take a look at that. Do as you will with that. If you look at Gizmo at 8,400, this guy is very appealing. Even though he only posted 85 fantasy points against Minnesota in the game they won, he still helped that team win. And yes, he went a little negative, but he fills in the gaps where they need to be filled in, and he comes clutch when he needs to. And he overall helped the team win. So if he keeps helping the team win, he's going to get more favorable fantasy points more often than not. So, you know, Gizmo at 8,400 is very appealable to me. Yeah, he wasn't too consistent here in this period of time, but I know that he's back and has a fire under his you know, but Nasty as well at 8,200. Nasty was going absolutely off against Minnesota. I was amazed because it was like the first time I had literally just watched him play, and he got 96 kills, 83 deaths, 133 fantasy points at just 7,000. So this guy is a beast. And at 8,200, I would pick him. You know, Afro as well, 7,800. Afro got 91 fantasy points. He went dead even, 76 kills, 76 deaths. Afro's a really good player too, but at 7,800, I think I'd rather go with Nasty for now, just because Afro hasn't really been producing too much. He's just like a middle of the pack player there that helps his team win, right? And then Zero at 7,800. I feel like Zero a little bit less consistent as well. Not many 100 fantasy point games, but you know, you could always be contrarian and put Zero in your lineup. But with this being said, I do feel there's a discrepancy here that I might or might not try to take advantage of. And, you know, I think this is going to be a 3-2 win. I say Royal Ravens is going to win. They beat Toronto and Minnesota, so I do think they're actually doing pretty freaking good. With that being said, I think it's going to be a 3-2. Either way, leaning towards London. And with that, let's move on to the next matchup, which is going to be the Optic Texas against the Paris Legion. So, for the next game of the day, obviously we have the Optic Texas against the Paris Legion, and I share the same sentiment that everybody else is going to be sharing here, that I am no way in hell going to be rostering anybody in the Paris Legion camp. And you know, obviously they're good players, right, because they're in the Pro League, but I really don't think that they're going to be Optic. I mean, I really don't even think they're going to take one map. So, you know, I do think that maybe Optic is going to, you know, put the pedal to the metal here and show out. And I do believe Illy is going to be back in the roster, if I'm not mistaken. Illy's going to be back in the roster, and it's going to make the team, you know, feel better as well. Scump is at a disgustingly, disturbingly disrespectful 6,800. If you look at this game log for his history, I know, yes, he hasn't been a little bit too consistent in the past, right here in the past like 5 games or past 3 games, but look at him before that. You're telling me a player of this caliber is going to be sitting at 6,800 going up against the worst team in the game? That's disrespectful, and I would advise you to maybe target this game. Scump and Illy, really good plays. Shotzi at 9,200 at that borderline 8,000 mark is a really good play, as well as Dashy, but obviously you can't roster all of them. So I'll just say roster who you can. There's really no way I'd ever target anybody in Paris unless it was temp and it wasn't against Optic. That's the only way. But nevertheless, I have nothing much to say about this matchup. I'm just glad to see my team complete again, competing again. And as you can see, these odds here from Bovada, Optic Texas is sitting at a minus 1,300. And Paris Legion is sitting at a plus 575. That's freaking crazy. Yeah, that's probably one of the biggest odds I've seen in Call of Duty here in the near past. I haven't really seen any discrepancy like this, but this one takes the cake. So yeah, Optic all the way. Nothing much to say about this one. Let's look at the next matchup, the New York Subliners against the Seattle Surge. So this, to me, is probably going to be the game of the day. You have two really good teams here in New York and Seattle. Both of these teams are coming off of their corresponding 2 win streaks. I believe Seattle Surge is, or actually, I take that back. Seattle Surge is on a 1-game losing spree. They lost to Boston yesterday. They beat Paris the match before that. It isn't saying much, but I do think New York Subliners are feeling a little good. They just beat Florida and the Gorillas. So I do feel like if there's any team here that's gonna beat Seattle Surge in this little run that they had, which they broke yesterday, I do think they're gonna lose again today. It's New York. New York is a pretty well-stacked team. Kismet, Paulex, Hydra, Crimsix. Obviously, they have what it takes to dismantle the Seattle team. They have a lot of veteranship here, and I do feel like Seattle has an edge here. Seattle Surge is sitting at a minus 220. New York Subliners is sitting at a plus 165. I do feel like these are the types of matches where it is safe to bet on a team like New York, even though the line is this separate, because New York has a lot of upside. And if I'm not mistaken, looking back at New York's record, New York has never beaten Seattle from what I can see here. We're going back all the way, the time machine. I don't see anywhere where New York has beat Seattle, so I do think like this might be the matchup where New York actually comes up on top. I don't know, something's just telling me that, after this massive run that Seattle had, they're bound to start losing a couple. Other than that, I mean, the line seems okay, reasonable for a team who's never won against this particular team. If we look at the prices here on DraftKings for this matchup, the most expensive one is Sib at 9,000, and the cheapest one is Crimsix at 7. So this is like a middle of the pack matchup here. I do feel like the winning lineup is going to have a couple of players from this matchup. I mean, Paulex at 7,400. He hasn't been producing too much. Actually, never mind. He has 95 points, was the lowest since May 28th. Yes, and then before that, yeah. Paulex at 7,400 is a very valuable player. Accuracy being more expensive than Paulex. Accuracy's been producing as of late, but I just think Paulex and Kismet and Hydra are just gonna work it out a lot. Hydra at 8,200 is kind of a freaking. That one's kind of a hard one not to pass on, or a hard one to pass on, because 8,200 for a player like Hydra, that's value in my book. Mac at the same price, 8,200, has also been producing a lot. Mac has been producing a lot of kills. For Seattle, can't go wrong with Mac if you think they're gonna win. Now, Man, I just have a feeling New York's gonna win this one. Pred at 8,600. Look at his game log. Pred has been beasting as well. He's been on another level for sure. But if you could tell, there's a reason why the prices went down. From Pred's price tag last matchup from 9,800, they went down $1,200, even though they're still the favorites because they're facing a strong team in New York. Now, I think they've only faced New York twice and they've beat them twice, so I think the third one is the charm. I think that's why I think New York's gonna win. So Sib at 9,000. He's been producing a hell of a lot, and then yesterday he just had a off game. I'm pretty sure this is the reason why Seattle lost, because Sib had a fucking terrible game. So, I really like Paul X and Hydra, and if it's not Paul X and Hydra, I like Mac. Mac, those players right there to me are really nice. Kismet at 8,000, we didn't look at him. He's been producing okay. He's had a couple of duds here and there, but he's been producing overall. I do think this is going to be a 3-2 victory. Flip a coin on this one. I'm inclined to believe New York's going to win it, but this is going to be a barn burner, and I can't wait to watch this matchup here in the next few hours. And those are my opinions on this specific matchup. Let's go to the last one of the day, and that one's going to be the LA Guerrillas against the Atlanta FaZe. So if we look at the last matchup of the day, we have Atlanta FaZe, who just came off of sweeping Toronto. They just came off of beating the Thieves 3-2. Atlanta FaZe is a really good team. Obviously, we all know that. LA Guerrillas are coming off of a loss, I believe, to New York and a loss to Toronto. LA Guerrilla has a history with FaZe, and they've beat them before, but their last matchup, they lost 1-3 here against Atlanta. But I do feel like Atlanta FaZe is going to win this matchup just because, they're starting to pick up form again. I do feel like some of these prices are okay. Neptune at 7,000, definitely too much. I don't trust Neptune against FaZe. Slasher 7,200. I don't know. Spart at 7,200. I might trust against FaZe just because if we look back at his log, did he ever? No, we don't have a log against him with FaZe. I do believe Huke 7,000. So all Los Angeles Guerrillas are literally in the sevens. And then you have our cities at 8,000 for FaZe. Honestly, the only players I see here producing any significant action are Abizi, Selim, Simp, our cities. Our cities, I wouldn't want to necessarily pick him because at 8,000, he hasn't really met that value too much recently. Couple of games here and there, but at 8,000, he met value last matchup because it was a sweep, but he didn't really do too well. If they don't get a sweep, our cities doesn't become a good play. He only becomes a good play when there's a sweep, typically, because he's the cheapest player on the FaZe squad. But Celium and Abizi are at 8,800s, and Simp is at 9,000. I do strongly believe that FaZe can 3-0 the LA Guerrillas here. LA Guerrillas are really good in search, but I do think that they could take the edge. And I do think that Selim and Abizi are in very special spots here. Let's look at Abizi's game log. He's been producing, 93 fantasy points last matchup. He actually did bad last matchup and he burned me. But other than that, Celium been producing. At 9,000 he produces typically. Every time he's been at 9,000 for the most part, except this one matchup right here against Minnesota. Simp was on a tear yesterday, 69 kills, nice, with 46 deaths. Yeah, 146 fantasy points for Simp. He had a couple of stints here, but I do feel like Simp is gonna start getting in shape here towards the end of the year. So I would say, look at this matchup closely, make your picks adequately. I do have a strong inclination this is gonna be a 3-1 or a 3-0 by FaZe. And those are my thoughts here. As you can see, the lines are crazy as well. This is the second crazy line of the day. Atlanta FaZe is at a minus 1,000. LA Gorillas are at a plus 525. So that's crazy. The under is sitting at a minus 450 at a 4.5. That the game lasts less than 4.5 rounds. Then it's a plus 300 that it goes the distance to 5 games. So I do really believe that FaZe is going to win this. And with that being said, I thank you guys for watching. If you watched this far, thank you. You're a dedicated fan. I love you. And not really, but you know what I mean. If you guys like esports, you guys like betting on esports, if you guys like talking about esports, feel free to come to the channel, subscribe, like. I'm trying to make this a nice and friendly community for people who like sharing their thoughts on slates and stuff like that. And I'm going to definitely be supporting a lot of esports in the future. This is just the beginning. Like I said, thank you guys for watching. See you in the next one.